UFC 283 Glover Teixeira versus Jamahal is coming up this weekend, and I have the full card breakdown and predictions for you guys. I do want to say before we get into it, if there are any fights that you just want to skip to, there will be timestamps throughout this entire video. Check the pinned comment or the little red bar right down below you. Again, like I said, this whole video will be timestamped, and I'd appreciate you guys watching whatever part that you'd like to. If you are new here, hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Kyle. If you are new here, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about UFC 283. Let's break it down. Starting off with the first fight, Daniel Marcos versus Saimon Oliveira. And this is a very interesting fight. It's very easy, like very close on the odds here, and I think it's gonna be a kind of a close fight, but still, I am very comfortable with picking Marcos to win this fight. I think he is the superior striker, and Oliveira obviously is if you watch Oliveira fight, he's a really, really good guillotine, actually. He can snatch up submissions pretty quick. However, I think Daniel Marcos, one, he's undefeated, two, he's on an absolute roll. So is Oliveira, though. He's been doing very well, but I like what I've seen from Daniel Marcos striking so far. It's going to be tough whether I want to pick him to get a knockout or not. Regardless, I don't think that he's going to get his first loss yet. I think he's eventually going to run into that first loss. I don't think he's going to stay undefeated forever. It's a very, very tough division, right? But I think Marcos is going to use his striking, be able to stuff the takedowns, and I think he's going to win a decision. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Oliveira did end up taking him down and working from there, but I'm going to go with Marcos in this fight. I think he's going to get this one done. Moving on, Luan Lacerda versus Cody Stamann. This is a fight that I'm not too sure about, guys. I'm really, really not, because so far, Luan's looked really good. Cody Stamann, though, very inconsistent. So he has an okay record, but like as of lately, he's been very inconsistent. Like take a look at his last fights. But something I do want to note with Stamann is his losses are against fantastic opponents. So he fought Brian Keller, looked good there. Now, Jimmy Rivera, I still think is a fantastic fighter. People forget how good Jimmy Rivera was. He had a bad run at the end of his UFC career, but still, he was a fantastic fighter. Still is. Merab Delavashvili, and I always pronounce his name wrong, I apologize, at the top of the division, absolutely fantastic, and Said Nurmagomedov, so I don't believe there's any shame in losing to these fights as he did, and then he beat Eddie Wineland, but that's a fight where it's like, man, like, if you lost that would be bad, so I'm not too sure what I think here. Luan's pretty good. I feel like his game plan will be to take it to the ground and try to submit him, but Cody Stamann has some pretty good wrestling. There is a big reach difference here. That might play into it a little bit, but again, this one's so tough for me to pick. I'm going to lean on the side of Luan, but I am just not sure about this one. I can't make a solid prediction. This is one where it's like, hey, put a gun to your head. I'm picking Luan to win this one. Moving on to the next fight, Josiane Nunes versus Zarah Fairn. Man, this one's going to be easy. Fairn, she kind of sucks. I'm picking Nunes all day, man. And she's looked good so far, man. I don't think Fairn, like, it's tough. Like, there's nothing at that weight class, 145 pounds. She's probably just signed there because it's someone willing to fight in that weight class. I don't know. I personally, like, no disrespect, but for lack of a better term, she's not that great. I think she's going to lose. I got Nunes in this fight for sure. Moving on, we have Warlley Alves versus Nicolas Dalby. Now, for this one, it's a big for me because Alves doesn't fight very much, and he's very inconsistent, as you can see with his record here. And the opponents are like, okay, but when you take a look at Nicolas Dalby, take a look at his opponents, okay? A little bit inconsistent too, but like it's not win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. It's win-loss, draw, win, draw, win. You know what I mean? So it's looking better than Alves. Now take a look at his opponents. So Claudio Silva, Tim Means, Daniel Rodriguez, Jesse. I'm not familiar with that fighter actually. Jesse Ronson, and Alex Oliveira. Very good opponents. And the skill sets, I feel like they're a little bit similar. Maybe Alves will have the edge in the kickboxing a little bit, but I cannot put my faith in him because he's, again, inconsistent. He doesn't fight nearly as often, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep up really. Something, though, that makes me think otherwise is the age of Nicolas Dalby. 32 versus 38. 38, the age is going to catch up with you at some point. We haven't seen it so far, but still, that's something you got to take in consideration. I'm still going to ride with Dalby, though. But again, this fight, I'm kind of like 75-25 on this one for Dalby. Moving on. Oh, man, I'm excited for this one, guys. I'm excited to see Terrance McKinney back, but my pick's not going to be biased. I am picking Terrance McKinney, long story short, but again, it's not biased. I just really like watching the dude fight, and he's fighting Ismael Bonfim here. Now, something to note, Bonfim has won his last 5 fights. Terrance McKinney won 4 of his last 5. Now, that loss was against Drew Dober, of course, but he had Drew Dober on skates. He was looking good in that fight. And Dober, he did what Dober does, has that granite chin and just survived and won. That was such a fantastic fight. If you haven't seen that, Francis Ngannou might not be able to knock Drew Dober out. That's a thing. Now, of course, the game plan for Terrance McKinney is very simple. He's going to rush forward with like the power that he has in his hands. He's going to try and knock you out. Bonfim, it's very interesting style because Bonfim is more of a Muay Thai stance that likes to take his time in the rounds. Now, it's going to be the question, will Terrance McKinney be able to make Bonfim fight his fight, Or is it going to be the other way around? Is Bonfim going to be able to keep him on the outside, keep the pace a little bit slower, and maybe tire out McKinney just a little bit? I think that McKinney has that grit and that willpower to just throw himself into the dogfight and want to cause absolute chaos and not let Bonfim get comfortable. I think he'll be successful in that. I believe he'll get a knockout. I don't know about what round, maybe round 1, round 2, but I'm pretty confident McKinney's going to get another finish here, and he's going to move on. The odds, I think it should be 2-1, to be fair. I'm pretty confident McKinney's going to get it done, but don't be surprised if Bonfim is able to actually like keep him on the outside a little, because he's a really good fighter. People are just really hyped on McKinney right now. It's going to be an interesting fight. I cannot wait for this one. One of the most hyped fights on the card for me. Terrance McKinney versus Ismael Bonfim. I'm excited for it. Get excited. Moving on, Jailton Almeida versus Shamil. I'm sorry, Abdurakhimov. I might be pronouncing that wrong, guys. There's not too much to say about this one. Look at the odds. Look at the odds for this one. They're well placed. It looks like Almeida is going to, like, he has the potential to be champion. I know it's a little too early to tell. You never know, right? So I think that, especially with how the heavyweight division is structured, I could see him being a very, very, like, a future, maybe title holder, at least title fighter. And take a look at the last losses for Shamil here. There's nothing I really need to say. Plus 31 versus 41. This fight is just stacked up for Almeida to win. I think he's going to do it, and it's going to be real easy. Moving on, we Gabriel Bonfim versus Mounir Lazzez. And guys, I'm not too hyped about Lazzez here, okay? He has, for like, I hate being disrespectful in this tone, but he kind of has pillow hands, and he's pretty much just a boxer. Well, you have a whole well-rounded game, and very, very good kickboxing over here from Bonfim. Plus 13-0 on a roll, has looked very, very good so far. I just don't see a way for Lazzez to win. I think it's going to be a nice stand-up fight. I think Bonfim, maybe, you know what, because Lazzez has a little bit weak on the ground, I feel like maybe Bonfim could just show his ground game a little bit. Regardless, even like the opponents that he's fought, man, like they've looked good so far. Very, very good records, except for that one, of course. But still, he's looked good so far. What can I say? And I'm not impressed by what I've seen from Lazzez. And someone named the Sniper with pillow hands, I don't know, man. I can't put my money on it. I'm going with Bonfim to win this one. Now, guys, moving on to the next fight, Thiago Moises versus Melquizel Costa. I'm not going to, I want to be completely honest with you when making these videos, guys. Don't take my pick into any consideration with this fight. I am not familiar with this fighter very well. I've probably seen him fight a couple times, but then again, I don't know. I'm sure I've seen him fight. It's not ringing a bell to me. I don't know. Even when I take a look at his record, I don't really remember these fights. I just don't remember this guy. So for this one, I'm going to actually pass on making a prediction here. However, I do like Thiago Moises. If I had to guess, if he made me pick, I'd pick Moises because I think he's pretty good. Not the best, but I wish I could be honest with you. I want to be completely honest with you guys. I'm not familiar with this fighter. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see, and it looks like that we can't even see the odds here. So let me know what you think of this fight down below in the comments. Moving on, guys. We got another banger, though. Another banger. We have the return of RoboCop. Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira. I think Gregory Rodriguez is going to do what Gregory Rodriguez does. I think he's going to go in there. I think he's going to start swinging, and I understand Ferreira has looked good so far. The Hulk is undefeated, has some great wins. They're both the same age. It looks great. The reach is with Gregory Rodriguez, and I feel like Rodriguez will use that to his advantage. He's going to go in there. He's going to get a KO. I think this fight is set up for him to win. I like the side of Rodriguez. I like what he does. I think he's going to move up the division. A very easy fight for me. I'm on the side of Rodriguez. I got him in this one. Moving on, guys, we have what's probably the last fight in Shogun's career versus Ior Potieria. I can't pick Shogun. He's done. He's done. You could put him against anybody in the division. He does not look good anymore. Even like his last losses, I understand. Like it's Ovin St. Preux. So like you're losing to Ovin St. Preux, man. That guy is done too. That guy's, I would have said, is more done than Mauricio Rua. I might have picked Mauricio to win that fight, but still, like he hasn't looked good. He has not looked good. He's done. He's 41 now, fighting against someone so youthful, so strong. He's looked good so far in the UFC. Had one hiccup, but still has looked amazing. I love Shogun. Huge fan of him. It's going to be sad, but I think he's going to go out on a bad loss here. I think the odds should just be way more than it is. I have no faith in Shogun to win this fight, unfortunately, but I'll still be cheering for him. I'd be hype if he actually like ended up with a knockout and retired in Brazil. Fairy tale ending, kind of like Glover. I think that'd be great. Moving on up the card to the main card, we have Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker. I'm actually very excited for this fight. Paul Craig, I was on the hype train for Paul Craig. I thought he was great, but man, did he look awful in his last fight. He had no ground, like he has a ground game, but I mean, he had no wrestling. He could not bring that fight to the ground and was just laying on his back. I lost all faith in Paul Craig, although don't get me wrong, I really like him. I'm a fan of his. I just don't believe he has what it takes to be at the top unless he makes a drastic improvement. But he's 35. How long until, like, how much better can you actually get? I'm sure you can get better. Johnny Walker, though. Johnny Walker, he's had some hiccups, but take a look at, like, his last fight. He actually looked okay against Ion Cutelaba. But at the same time, It's Ion Cutelaba, one of the most inconsistent guys in UFC history. This fight, oh, it's tough. It's tough. I'm going to side with Johnny Walker. I don't think Paul Craig will be able to knock him out, and I think that's Johnny Walker's only weakness. I don't think Paul Craig will be able to catch him. I think Johnny Walker has the potential to actually get a nice TKO win here. A lot of people were hyped on him a long time ago. Looked good in his last fight. Even a couple fights, he's looked like he's improved. But we might see vintage Johnny Walker this time. I'm picking Johnny Walker. I don't know how he's going to win, but I don't think that Paul Craig has anything in his game that could really threaten him. I think if they do end up on the ground, Johnny Walker will be stronger than him and be able to outmuscle him. Even if Paul Craig has the better submission game, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'm picking Johnny Walker. I'm like an 80-20 on this one. Maybe 90-10. Moving on up the card, Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Guys, this one is an absolute no-brainer for me. Jessica Andrade is going to absolutely stomp her. I am not impressed with anything Lauren Murphy does. A lot of people were picking Miesha Tate against her. I was like, nah, Miesha Tate blows, dude. She sucks. Like, Lauren Murphy, I was not surprised she won that fight. I won so much money betting on her that time. But I just think that Miesha Tate's garbage, and people are hyping up Lauren Murphy way too much. I understand she's an underdog in this fight, but still, like, this isn't going to be a close fight. It's really going to bite me in the butt if she ends up winning somehow. But Jessica Andrade, what can I say? She's looked good. She's a really nice top contender. I think she's going to go in there, does what Jessica Andrade does. I don't know if she'll get a stoppage, but she's definitely going to win. This isn't going to be a close fight. I'm picking Jessica Andrade. Moving on up the card, this is going to be a good fight. Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. I'm siding with Gilbert Burns here. We've seen Magny been controlled on the ground before. Even take a look at that Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. But even then, ignore that, okay? Because Shavkat, it seems to be a different animal. I can see this fight. I have a really solid prediction of this fight. I think we're going to see a similar fight to between like what we saw with Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Thompson, where he just kind of held him up against the cage, taking him down, and make it a really, really boring decision. I feel like that's what's going to happen in this fight. That's what I think Gilbert Burns is going to do, because that's Magny's one weakness. However, Magny kind of has that Michael Johnson like problem where it's like, hey, this guy can beat any dude and he can lose to any dude. It's kind of true. I really like both guys. I'd love to see Gilbert get back to a title, but Neil Magny, I'm a huge fan of his. I really am. I really, really hope he gets it done. I think he can get it done. I just don't think he will. I think Gilbert Burns is going to be able to control him up against the fence, and I think it's going to be very similar to, like I said, that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight. I'm riding with Gilbert Burns in this fight. Again, because I said that Magny has that Michael Johnson effect, I'm not too confident in it, but I think that's how that fight's going to go. I got Gilbert Burns in this one, but don't be surprised if Neil Magny wins. A lot of people are counting him out. Moving on, guys, we have the first quadrilogy ever. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. They're fighting the fourth time. Okay, very interesting. The odds are even. That's crazy. This is a very tough fight. I don't have a solid prediction for this one. If you made me pick, I'd say Moreno because he's fighting more often. On top of that, Deiveson Figueiredo, he is getting older, and we know that he has a horrible, horrible, horrible weight cut. When is that going to affect him? He probably got affected by it in the second fight, the third fight. He almost lost that fight too. I think he won that fight personally, but it was up for controversy. Brandon Moreno, he looked great against Kai Kara-France. He's fighting more often. I want to say the dude's hungrier because Deiveson, he didn't want to fight Brandon Moreno again. Of course he can do it. Like, I'm not saying he's scared or anything. I'm just saying, like, there was a little bit, he wanted to move on to other things, and I just don't know if Figueiredo really, really wants it too much. Maybe he'll move up to 135. I don't know if he wants to go through the weight cut. He's a fantastic fighter. Don't get me wrong, and I'm probably going to be cheering for Figueiredo in this fight. I like both guys. I like Figueiredo just a little bit more. It's tough. He hits so hard. We've seen these guys fight 3 times now, and Brandon Moreno, I think this fight's going to be similar to the second one, perhaps not as dominant. But then again, Figueiredo, that's Cejudo Gym. They've been training real good there. So, interesting fight. Very, very interesting. I'm going to side with Moreno. But for this one, I'm like 70-30. That's where I'm at. Maybe 60-40. I'm not too sure about this fight. I would not bet on this fight. Wouldn't put it anywhere in any parlay. Moving on to the main event of the evening. Glover Teixeira versus Jamahal Hill. Gotta say, guys, huge fan of both guys. I like Jamahal Hill a lot. I think he's great. I love his Instagram reels. I love his TikToks. I think he's awesome. I'm a big fan of Jamahal Hill. However, I'm a bigger fan of Glover Teixeira. One of my favorite fighters of all time. Here's the problem, okay? Here's the big problem. Glover, at what point is this 43 years of age going to catch up with him? He's looked good so far. I can't believe that he went 5 rounds with Yuri Prochazka. I can't believe it, okay? He's going to turn 44. At what point is this going to catch up with him? And he took life-changing damage in his last fight. Life-changing damage. We don't know how he's going to show up. That's a big problem for me. If you asked me to pick this like 2 years ago, maybe 3, not even, I would say Glover stomps him, controls him on the ground, submits him. Easy. I still want to pick him and say that's going to happen, but Jamahal Hill, he has that nuclear power. He can put anybody's lights out. He can put Glover Teixeira's lights out. He can rock him. He can hurt him. I think he's going to do great. He has good boxing. Glover might have a little bit of problems at the beginning of the fight. I still think that Glover Teixeira will be able to find that takedown. He's pretty confident. He's been talking and saying he still looks good in training. I'm going to take his word for it. But at what point, like I said, 43 years, man. 43 years, I don't like that. And I don't know how he's going to show up. Is his chin going to be okay after the Yuri Prochazka fight? I hope he wins. I think he's going to win, but I'm very hesitant in saying that because at some point, Glover keeps winning, but at some point, we're going to see his age catch up with him. And I can't emphasize that enough, guys. Like, it's tough. It's tough. There are so many tough fights to pick on this card. I'm going to side with Glover. But again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it because Jamahal Hill, he can do it. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Stylistically, Glover should win this fight, but I don't like the age. I don't like the recovery, and I don't know how Glover Teixeira is going to show up. I hope Glover wins. I hope he retires, even though he's talking about not retiring. I want him to win the belt. I want him to retire. I want him to have that fairy tale ending in Rio de Janeiro. It's going to be an exciting fight. My heart's going to hurt for this one because I also really, really like Jamahal Hill. It's one of those fights, man. I'm going to go with Glover, but I'm not sure. And that's going to do it for these picks, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are new here and enjoy the content, please consider the like button to help the channel a ton and subscribe if you're brand new. Check the description down below for links to all my other channels. And if you want to hear more fight talk about anything MMA related, hit that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care.